Hello and welcome to Potternyms, a Harry Potter podcast about Wizarding World words. My name is Al, and I'm a giant nerd. With me is my co-host and brother.
Hi, I'm Erik, and I'm not quite the Harry Potter geek or word nerd that Al is, so most of this will be new to me. Obviously, there will be spoilers.
Each week, I'll choose a Wizarding World word and tell you all about why it is so awesome and clever. So whether you're like me and you know most of this already,
Or you're like me and most of this is a surprise.
I hope you learn something that will add to your enjoyment of this phenomenal fantasy world. Today, we're going to talk about Professor Dumbledore.
Aha, all right.
You know who this is?
I sure know who Dumbledore is.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So who is he?
He's the OG. He's the main headmaster of Hogwarts, right?
Exactly. That's his job title there, Headmaster of Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. He also has a couple more titles.
Oh.
Yes, funny ones. He's a Grand Sorcerer. That's not particularly funny. But he's Order of Merlin First Class. He's Supreme Mugwump of the International Confederation of Wizards.
Mugwump. Are we going to learn what that means today?
Nope, I have no idea. I think it's like a title.
Yeah.
Yep. And he's also Chief Warlock of the Wizengamot.
Oh, wow. Okay. Some very fun titles.
Yes. And the only wizard that Voldemort ever feared. Okay. Do you know Professor Dumbledore's full name?
Albus, something like that?
Very close, very close.
So close.
Albus.
Albus with a B, okay.
Yes, Albus. But he has a bunch of middle names.
Well, hit me.
So his full name is Albus Percival Wulfric Brian Dumbledore.
I like that Brian is just kind of peppered in there. Like, that's
Yep.
such a normal name.
I think that was the point. All right, well, Albus, let's start at the beginning here.
Yes.
Albus is Latin for white.
Okay, so he's the white wizard, the good wizard.
He's Gandalf the White in
Yes.
the Harry Potter world. Exactly. So it's got that twofold meaning kind of thing. You know, he's the good wizard, the head honcho of the good team, the white wizard. And he also is white in his looks, you know, his hair and his beard. A little bit there. So Albus, another name that comes from the same root is Albion. Have you ever heard of Albion?
I have not.
It's an old word, maybe the oldest word for England or Great Britain.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And it's used a lot in, like, the King Arthur stories. You know, it's called Albion, Arthur of Albion, which that will come back a little bit later.
Okay.
And white is also, we're going to do another throwback here to the Philosopher's Stone episode, where we talked a lot about alchemy.
Yes.
So colors are very important in different stages of the alchemical process. They represent different stages. And so the white stage stands for asceticism. Do you know what asceticism is?
I do not.
It sounds kind of like aestheticism,
Yep.
you know, like looks, appearance, but it's not. It means like severe self-discipline and avoidance of all forms of indulgence. You know, it's typically kind of a religious thing, but
Okay.
yeah.
Like a monk-like.
Yes, yeah. So you can kind of say it's like logic without a lot of emotion attached to it. You know, it fits Dumbledore in a way, you know, that he's very brilliant, you know, intelligent, and somewhat detached or cerebral or philosophical. But it doesn't quite fit him, I don't think, because he's also, you know, he's known to indulge. He has a sweet tooth, you know. He loves his lemon sherbets.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That's the passwords to get into his office is always a kind of candy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So he's not quite, you know, he indulges here and there. And he also shows
Yes.
some emotions here and there.
He does, yes, exactly. So he definitely shows emotions, although I think he deliberately has to put them aside in some ways in order to achieve what he does, especially in the way he kind of, you know, guides Harry's life. There's a theory out there that, like, Dumbledore has kind of steered Harry to basically to be killed by Voldemort, like he knows what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So he kind of had to push his emotion aside to do that.
So is white the, you know, highest tier, or is there necessarily tiers to those different colors?
It's different stages in the process. So they're not exactly tiers. They're just one leads to the next.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
So, shall we go on to name number 2?
Yes.
Percival. So Percival comes from the Old Welsh peredur. Peredur. It doesn't really sound like Percival, but
No.
close enough. It starts with a P, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
And peredur means warrior of the cauldron.
Oh.
Basically, you know, magical fighter, right? Mm-hmm. Do you think that's fitting for Dumbledore?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That seems to make sense from what I'm remembering.
And one of the most famous Percival, perhaps ever so far anyway, was one of the Knights of the Round Table. So we're calling back to King Arthur here.
Uh-huh.
He was the first knight to go searching for the Holy Grail.
Yeah, clapping those coconuts together.
Right?
You're using coconuts.
This kind of fits Dumbledore a little bit in that he was, you know, always searching for information or ways to defeat Voldemort. And especially in Book 6, you know, he was basically on a quest to find all the Horcruxes.
Right.
Which will have their own episode.
Good.
So the Holy Grail, you know what the Holy Grail is? Big silence. Whoa.
I mean, I totally do, but...
Are you picturing Indiana Jones?
I'm definitely picturing Indiana Jones.
Literally, though, like, what is it?
Oh, a chalice, a
Yes,
cup.
Exactly.
Okay, sorry.
Yes, no, it was the cup that Jesus drank from at the Last Supper and that Joseph of Arimathea used to catch his blood at the crucifixion.
Okay, yes.
So the connection there with the chalice, it's kind of a tenuous connection, but here's a spoiler here. Not that there aren't total spoilers throughout this whole thing, but a bigger spoiler. Dumbledore dies, okay? He doesn't survive all 7 books. And technically this doesn't kill him. His kind of journey to death, the beginning of his death, is when he drinks from a chalice set up by Lord Voldemort.
Oh, cool.
Yes, so in that way, there's that little connection to his second name there, Percival.
Yeah, wow. I love these little details. That's so cool.
All right, ready for name number 3?
Number 3.
Number 3, Wulfric.
Wulfric.
With a U. Wulfric literally means wolf power or wolf ruler. So in that way, it's maybe the least apropos name of all of Dumbledore's names. Although the power part makes sense because he is the most powerful wizard of his age.
Yep.
The most famous Wulfric of history is Saint Wulfric of Hasselbury, who was a 12th century British miracle worker who was often visited by the king at the time, King Stephen, and he was known for his gifts of prophecy and healing. So those aren't particularly Dumbledore's particular strengths, but he is, you know, a very knowledgeable and skilled wizard who's often called upon by the wizarding government for his expertise.
Yeah.
So in that way, it works, it fits.
Okay. And it's just a cool name, too.
It's just a cool name.
You know, sometimes we got to give J.K. Rowling a little bit of leeway here and say, you know, not every single name has to mean like 5 different things. Sometimes it can just sound cool.
Which leads us to Brian.
Yes.
Brian, like we said before, I think she just threw it in there to be funny, like a normal name among all these unusual ones.
Yeah.
But it is fitting. It's a Celtic meaning. It comes from a Celtic word that means like hill or high or noble.
Oh, okay.
So it fits. You know, he's a noble. He's an important wizard high up, you know, in the wizarding world.
Yeah. See, I want to just be able to like be walking the halls at Hogwarts and see Professor and just be like, "Hey, B, what's up?"
Hey, APWBD? Woo!
Yeah.
I had to think about that one. Yeah, he's got so many names. Oh, yes. So all of Dumbledore's given names basically revolve around similar themes of, you know, white, good, noble, strong, heroic. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah. So it's very clear right from the start that he's the good guy.
He's the good guy. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Now, what about the last name?
Yes, good question. Now here we are going to shift gears a little bit.
Okay.
So Dumbledore is actually an archaic word meaning bumblebee.
Oh, really?
Yes. So I think it's kind of, you know, an allusion to his fun side, his silly, cute, playful bees are often seen that way in like kids fiction, especially, or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
But, he can be a little sneaky and a little stinging as well. But actually, J.K. Rowling has said that she chose Dumbledore as his name because she pictured him being fond of music and humming to himself a lot, which I think she was maybe thinking of The Flight of the Bumblebee by Nikolai Rimsky-Korsakov. And there is another meaning that I saw for Dumbledore in a forum somewhere, so I'm sure it wasn't particularly intended, but it's kind of leads to a fun little thing here.
Okay.
A Dumbledore was a style of hat popular in the 1880s and 90s. And do you know when Dumbledore was born?
Then?
Yeah, that was a good guess. He was born in 1881. Yeah, so right at the time that this hat would have been popular.
So, does it look anything like a wizard hat?
I really looked for a picture of it, and I could not find one.
Well, then, yes, it does look like that. I'm saying so.
It does, yeah, exactly, yeah. So here's the little fun bit with this meaning. If you take just his generally used names, Albus Dumbledore,
Yeah.
And you use this definition of Dumbledore, it could mean white hat,
Yeah.
which is a term for the hero or protagonist of a story.
Oh, okay.
So while he's not maybe the main protagonist, he doesn't have the books named after him like that other guy. Mm-hmm. He is, one of the main heroes, one of the main protagonists.
Yeah, and you could say, he is the hero of the wizarding world.
Yeah, yeah.
Even if the books are not named after him.
Right, exactly. So that's Albus, Percival, Wulfric, Brian, Dumbledore.
I'll refer to him as Brian from now on. Now, do a lot of other characters in the series have multiple middle names, or is that kind of a unique thing to Dumbledore?
I think that's relatively unique to Dumbledore. There may be a couple that have more than one middle name, but he's the one I remember as having the most names.
Yeah, especially if you factor in all of his titles.
Right, exactly, yes.
Oh my gosh.
You imagine what his business card must look like.
Or he'll have one of those magical business cards that the text just scrolls on the paper.
Right, yes, exactly. So if you liked learning about Professor Dumbledore, we'd love if you would rate and review us in your podcatcher. And if you would like to support us monetarily, please visit patreon.com/Potternyms. There you can get a bunch of very fun bonus content. We are also on Facebook and Twitter at Potternyms.
Until next time, I'm Erik.
And I'm Al.
And this has been Potternyms.